Thank you very much, Chairman Kemp, President Hungerford, distinguished faculty members, other honorees, especially the members of the class of 2015. This day represents the culmination of years of effort and sacrifice on your part, and often on the part of your families, your loved ones, and your friends. So I want to begin by congratulating all of you and all of your supporters. This honorary degree is extremely meaningful to me and a recognition that I'll cherish forever. And my parents didn't finish high school, and they didn't have money to send me to college. Swarthmore gave me a scholarship, and it wasn't just the opportunity to go to college, but to go here to one of the best liberal arts colleges in the United States that had a profound influence on my life. The seniors have already felt that influence, and in the years ahead, you'll feel it again in ways you won't be able to imagine. So just like all of you today, I thank everyone who had confidence in me. Many years ago, another judge, Joseph Story, gave a graduation speech. It was titled, "The Gathered Wisdom of 1,000 Years." Don't worry, I don't have time to summarize it. I'm just going to make 4 succinct points, although my first point does start 800 years ago, in 1215. In 2 weeks, on June the 15th, we're going to celebrate the 800th anniversary of Magna Carta. That documents the most venerable symbol of the rule of law in the world. And the hero of that story is William Marshall, the first Earl of Pembroke. If you watched the movie The Da Vinci Code starring Tom Hanks, you saw the effigy of Marshall on the floor of the Temple Church. Under Marshall's leadership, 25 barons forced the tyrannical King John to acknowledge in writing that even he was subordinate to the rule of law. The fundamental individual rights and liberties set forth in the United States Constitution can be traced to Magna Carta: trial by jury, freedom from unreasonable searches and seizures, habeas corpus, due process, equal protection. Unfortunately, tyranny didn't end with King John, but for centuries, men and women like William Marshall have taken a stand for justice. When I entered Swarthmore College as a freshman 50 years ago this September, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had recently led members of the civil rights movement across the bridge in Selma, Alabama. That struggle was supported by Swarthmore students and faculty before, during, and after my tenure here. As we gather today in the shadow of the Clothier Bell Tower, I'm reminded of the poet John Donne and the chapel bell at Lincoln's Inn in London, where trial lawyers are trained and later practice. For centuries, it's been the custom to toll the bell when news of the death of a lawyer was received. Over the ages, other lawyers heard the bell and sent a messenger to find out who had died. That custom's traced back to 1624, when Donne was the preacher at Lincoln's Inn and wrote his devotion upon emergent occasions. One of those devotions contained these familiar words: "No man is an island entire unto itself. Every man's a piece of the continent, a part of the main. Any man's death diminishes me because I'm involved in mankind. And therefore, never send to know for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee." As one death diminishes us all, so does each individual injustice. One of Yeats' poems referred to a period of tyranny as a time when the best lacked all conviction and the worst were full of passionate intensity. Michael Oakeshott poignantly observed, "Nothing survives in this world that is not cared for by human beings." So my first point is this: the bell tolls for all of us to speak out against injustice, to make a positive difference in preserving the fundamental principles of individual liberty, and to uphold the rule of law. My second point involves a stonemason. When each of us is busily engaged in our daily work, we can't let focusing on the individual task blur the purpose of the process. That's why I'm reminded of a person who visited a construction site and asked 3 stonemasons what they were doing. The first said he was earning a living. The second said he was setting stone. But the third said he was building a cathedral. Each day you're going to earn a living by performing tasks, but when you're involved in your routine activities of your calling or your vocation, it's important to consider what might be called the big picture. I recently heard someone suggest a logical progression for putting our daily activities into perspective. The speaker submitted the following thesis: individual acts become habits, habits reflect patterns, patterns reveal character, and character determines a person's destiny. My second point is that whatever you choose to do in life, it will always have a higher purpose. Keep that as your daily focus. My third point's made by a bridge builder, comes from a poem by the same name. One cold gray evening, an old man was walking down a lonely highway. He encountered a chasm that was deep and wide with a flowing stream, and he crossed it with no problem. When he reached the other side, however, he built the bridge back over the stream. I'll continue the story by quoting from the poem. "Old man," said a fellow pilgrim near, "you're wasting strength in building here. Your journey will end with the ending day. You never again must pass this way. You've crossed the chasm deep and wide. Why build you the bridge at eventide?" The builder lifted his old gray beard. "Good friend, in the path I have come," he said, "there followeth after me today a youth whose feet must pass this way. This chasm has been not for me. To that fair-haired youth may a pitfall be. He too must cross in the twilight dim. Good friend, I'm building the bridge for him." Today's a time to reflect upon all of those who built the bridges that enabled you to reach this graduation day. This is my third point. As you go through life, be a bridge builder for others. My last point's made by a woodcutter. Imagine you encounter someone in the woods who's working feverishly to saw down a tree. "What are you doing?" you ask. "Can't you see?" comes the impatient reply. "I'm sawing down this tree." "You look exhausted. How long have you been at it?" "Over 5 hours," is the reply. "I'm beat. This is hard work." "Well, why don't you take a break for a few minutes and sharpen your saw?" "I'm sure it would go a lot faster." "I don't have time to sharpen the saw. I'm too busy sawing." This story appears in the well-known book by Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Habit 7 is taking time to sharpen the saw. It surrounds all the other habits in the 7 habits paradigm because it's the habit that makes all the others possible. Habit 7's personal. According to Covey, it's preserving and enhancing the greatest asset you have, you. It involves renewing the important dimensions of your life. As Covey notes, no one can sharpen the saw for us. We must do it for ourselves. That's my final point. Take time to sharpen your own saw. In summary, I encourage you to be a positive force for justice, to stay focused on the higher purpose of what you do, to build a bridge for those who will follow you, and to take time to renew yourself, to sharpen your own saw. Congratulations.